Die.
Whoa, hey, this is the last time I go and bring you a burrito.
What? Where'd he go?
Who?
The guy that killed all of these other guys?
Huh. I don't know. But there was this guy passing the hallway. Nice dude, but he was weird. Reminds me of the burrito guy from Montecito.
Montequinto. Whatever. Did he say his name?
Nah, when I asked him, he just said,
Me? I'm nobody.
What are you still doing here, old man?
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Benji!
Hey.
Yo, so so it's not like we were gonna skip this movie, right? It kind of came and it kind of went. It's another action movie, right? That kind of in every action movie after you hit John Wick feels like a John Wick, but with, so like this is John Wick, but with Bob Odenkirk, right? And honestly, to me, that's not a bad thing. I enjoyed this movie, but I don't know how'd you feel about it?
I felt really good about it. I really liked it, actually. I'm a big Bob Odenkirk fan, and it's funny, I have not seen any of the John Wick films, but it's kind of out there in the zeitgeist enough that I know, one of the triggering moments for him is his dog. So in Nobody, when stuff starts going down, it's over a kitty cat bracelet. And my wife and I watched together. I looked at her and I was like, this kind of reminds me of John Wick. Instead of a dog, it's his kid's kitty cat bracelet. It's just that's the breaking point, and he loses it because of a kitty cat bracelet.
Hold on,
So,
you haven't seen the John Wick films?
I'm not a big action movie person. My wife and I were just talking about this. Like, we saw a commercial for like a movie marathon. It was like one day was The Matrix, one day was Lord of the Rings, one day was Die Hard, like 3 days in a row of these trilogies. And I told her, I was like, it's funny, I've never seen any of those movies, like any movies of any of those franchises. The Matrix just didn't, it wasn't there for me.
Hold on.
Die Hard, I've just never seen any of them. And The Lord of the Rings, no.
Look, The Matrix, I give you a pass. It's The Matrix, whatever. Okay. It's a little overrated in my opinion.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, I'm gonna be honest with you, I fell asleep in the first movie. I did. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
It knocked me
out. That whole genre doesn't really do it for me. The fantasy the medieval, the dragons, I can't,
Unless it's like a video game, something I can actually interact with, I kind of agree. Or anime. Okay. But Die Hard?
That's the one everybody can't believe that I haven't seen.
It's freaking Die Hard, Ben.
Yeah, I know. And everybody, like, how have you not seen Die Hard? Like, your reaction right now is completely in line with everybody else's reaction. I've just never seen it. I don't know. Like, it's another one that I feel like it's been referenced and redone and rehashed and all this so many times. I don't really need to see it because I kind of get the point without having seen it. But yeah, I've never actually seen the first one or any of the subsequent.
I want you to understand, and I know once again, like you've already said, my actions are mirroring everybody that's ever talked to you about this. So I'm gonna say this, and you're just gonna be like, you could probably finish my sentence. You know what I mean? But you could still watch it. It still holds up, even though you know everything that's gonna happen in it. Right?
Yeah.
It's that good of a movie.
Okay. Well,
you could skip 2, but you need to watch 3 because 3 literally has a scene where Bruce Willis has to walk with a sign that says some racial slurs into a ghetto. Yeah, because this dude is gonna doing like some Simon Says stuff, and he's making him do these things, or he's gonna like blow up a thing or whatever. And it also has Samuel Jackson in it. So honestly, other than 1, 3 is the best sequel in that series.
Which one has Kevin Smith in it?
God, that might be 4. That might be when it starts to get off the rails and he becomes a superhero.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know he's in 1, but that's about all I got.
But anyway,
yeah, so we've already gone off. Speaking of going off the rails,
because I just that was mad surprising. But no,
right.
nobody.
Yeah, like I say, huge fan of Bob Odenkirk. I just like he's been around forever. He finally started kind of getting a break with the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, which are fantastic shows if you haven't watched them.
I need to finish that. I started off the first season of Breaking Bad and then just fell right off. So I'm not really too averse to the Odenkirks.
It is Breaking Bad is tremendous from start to finish, but it is a bit of a slow burn, and a lot of people actually, like my wife has never finished it either, and I've tried to get her. I've gone through it several times, but it's a fantastic show. The whole cast is great. Like it's one that some people got a little, there's one of those where towards the end people were like, oh, it's starting to drag now. They're milking it. It was still good. And Bob Odenkirk was fantastic. His character, and then of course his character was so revered that he got his own show, like a prequel show that's still going. I think it's coming. I think they're it's coming to a close soon. But it's also really good. It's one of those that it's so well done top to bottom, not just the casting, the writing, but the production of it. It's one of those where if I watch either one of those shows, I immediately feel like I need to go get my camera and shoot something, like because I'm so kind of inspired by the production of it. So it's cool. It's good. And like I say, just made me more of a Bob Odenkirk fan. He's been around for so long, but kind of on the fringes.
Right. Well, I think now because of that, he's starting to get up on a rise, and I think honestly he is. I mean, not just because you stick with him for the entirety of the movie, he is our main character here, but he's charming. Like he's a charming. So he's definitely different than Keanu Reeves is in the John Wick films. He has a different sort of charm to him. What is that? What is that face? What?
I'm agreeing with you because, of course, I've seen John Wick.
Well, I mean, honestly, Dave, if you've not seen The Matrix and not seen John Wick, what Keanu Reeves movies have you seen?
I saw Knock Knock. That was really bad.
That might be an outlier. That's
would not recommend.
I think that also has Ana de Armas in it.
Could be. It's kind of. I've blocked a lot of it out. We watched it not that long ago, and my wife and I were both just.
Oh no, I don't know if that's a date night movie.
No, well, we didn't really know what it was going into it. She was like, "Oh, I heard that's good," so we watched it. She blames me for picking it, but it was bad.
But
I've seen the first 2 Bill and Ted movies. I haven't seen the third yet. But
okay, this is a whole different career of
and the replacements.
Keanu. Oh, the one where he replaces his family.
No. The replacements where he's the scab football player.
Oh God, no! I've never even heard of that one.
It's got a bunch of people in it, like Gene Hackman. Faison Love's in it. There's a whole bunch, and I'm blanking on some of the others' names, but they're like the NFL goes on strike, and these kind of washed up football players are brought in to be the football team, and Keanu Reeves, of course, is the quarterback.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's a kind of a dumb comedy, but it's funny.
Fine.
So, anyway, that's my Keanu Reeves.
That's the extent of your Keanu Reeves. Well, just take my word for it. Then Bob Odenkirk in this movie is way different than.
I also played
Reeves.
Cyberpunk. So.
Did you? Have you? Oh yeah, well you got that Series X now, so you can play it with no problems.
Well, yeah, I had the One X when I played Cyberpunk. He was not good in it.
Oh wow.
Also, the game was not very good. So.
Man, I'm gonna need you to stop hating. I liked a little bit of, but we ain't here to talk about Cyberpunk. I talk about that with you later. But no, this movie is honestly great with its action. Like, how'd you feel about the action in this thing? Like, it's so down and dirty.
It is, and that's my wife is and of course I keep referencing my wife when we watch these movies because that's how we watch movies. We would do date night every Friday night. We watch these movies. I did not know. I knew Bob Odenkirk was in this movie. I heard it was good. Mm-hmm. That was about all I had. I didn't, read plot synopsis or whatever, so I didn't know it was going to be as gory as it was. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of blood and guts. So my wife kind of watches them like this, like kind of covering her eyes. Mm-hmm. But she even said, she's like, even with the kind of heightened violence, she was like, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was everything about it was top notch. One thing that bothered me just from a production standpoint, and this is true of any movie, mm-hmm. is, in the beginning where you're kind of getting his daily routine, mm-hmm. The shots of, he's forgetting to take the garbage out. He's doing his pull-ups on the bench or on the bus stop, and he's going through all this stuff, doing his exercises, doing his chores. What drives me nuts about those kind of things is to think, and maybe you feel the same way, think of all the effort that went into shooting those shots, mm-hmm. for them to just be boom, 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 like cut into, like 15 frames. Because, and obviously they're setting it up and doing it and changing things out, so they're not going back each time they have to do it. But it's like, I kind of like, man, I would hate to be the guy that had to light all that, each one of those scenes, just for them to be less than a second on screen to establish this routine. But such is the curse of the filmmaker, I suppose.
I actually really enjoyed that opening. I like the monotony of it all. Like it all worked really well. And like thinking about that, I mean, they probably just did like one setup and then just like filmed the thing. I don't think it was that big of a deal just for them. Especially like where he's going into like the machine shop where he works and things like that, where it's like those big wide shots, because those are tough to light. When you're showing an entire room and you have to figure out, okay, how can we do this and hide everything? Yeah. And it's, again, just my production nerd stuff. I don't disagree. It worked really well. Mm-hmm. I really liked those cuts, but the faster they got, the more I was like, I think of all the hours of work that went into those shots, and then they end up being half a second on screen. But it's just, like I say, it's the plight of production work. So. Right. Anything else you that cinematography wise that like stood out to you?
I mean, just overall, just that like you kind of wrapped it up in that nice little phrase, the down and dirty, as far as like not only violence, but that was kind of like, it had that gritty, that overall kind of stylized gritty feel, mm-hmm. from start to finish. Especially the deeper in, as he kind of breaks bad.
Oh gosh,
if you will. But yeah, it was. I thought it was not only a very tight film as far as storytelling, mm-hmm. but the visuals and the production of it as well. It was. I didn't really feel like there was a lot of wasted screen time.
Right.
It didn't ever really feel like it was dragging to me.
So one of the things I really liked about the action is that, like, one of the things that we were talking about when we were talking about the Die Hard films is that it feels like it's gone to the age of the superhero now. Like mm-hmm. he's throwing a car through a F-14 jet. Yeah. Like, this is a thing that actually happens in a Die Hard film, right? But this, like, nobody, like, it's not ultra violence, but it's just like you can see him getting hurt each time. You know what I mean? Like, he's tired by the end of this film. He's exhausted, and you can actually see that. And I just attributes to Bob Odenkirk's like talent.
One of the things I really liked is there's the scene where he goes into the tattoo parlor. He's had enough. The kitty cat bracelet's gone, mm-hmm. and he's going full vigilante here. He goes into the tattoo parlor, and they're getting ready to just really kick his ass. Like they're threatening him. they're laughing at him. They call him out on his FBI badge and all that. Well, then the guy sees the tattoo on his wrist, and that changes everything. He's out, and you know that great scene where you hear all the locks going. He's locking himself into like this behind this iron door.
Yes, it's so great.
So it's like, okay, obviously this guy is not to be trifled with, and those guys follow suit pretty quick. So then, when you get to the scene on the bus, I'm like, well, here we go. Here comes the, you know, just the ass kicking of a lifetime. He's going to destroy these guys, but they're kind of getting the better of him. You know, he's getting hurt. He's getting stabbed. He's getting his ass whipped a little bit, and that kind of threw me because I was like, I thought he was this badass, but he's rusty. You know.
Yeah.
He's shaking off the ring rust, if you will, because he's been out of the game for a while. But I liked the vulnerability. He's older. He's slower. You know, he hasn't been in that mindset for so long that, yeah, he's not just gonna jump right back into it and be, you know, untouchable. So to your point, yeah, I like the fact that he, by the end of it, I mean, he's been put through the ringer, and he's not, you know, his hair's not perfect. You know, he's got a lot of damage from the beginning to the end. He's just taken a lot of abuse, and I like that, you know, because does he get shot?
Oh yeah,
he gets shot. Yeah,
yeah, he gets shot before the sort of into the castle moment when he goes back into the workshop. The things. Yeah, that's right. Because he takes one. He's going in there. He takes one, and then that's when the RZA shows up. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
that's right.
Great. Just the RZA. I keep saying this every time I see the RZA in a new thing. I'm like, the RZA is just having the time of his life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
he just had no role I've seen him in. I'm just like, nah, the RZA didn't take that for a paycheck. Like that's
no.
It's just the RZA having fun, and I always appreciate that. But one of the things I want to move on from talking about Bob Odenkirk, but I think like he's just developed such a great character here, is that he's also like smarter. Like one of those things that when he fights is that he's taking, it's almost like he's taking calculated hits. You know, some of it's because he's slower and he's older, but some of it's like, all right, I'll take this, and then I'll take this knife and then throw it back in your neck. It reminds me a lot, and this is another movie I don't know if you might have seen, Denzel Washington's The Equalizer.
Not seen that film either.
Kind of similar. Honestly, all of these movies could take place in the same world. But they're also the same, where it is like this aged badass who is kind of like he's ex whatever, like he's like Bob Odenkirk says, works for one of these number or lettered 3-letter organizations, and it also ends at a warehouse where he has to home alone some traps to face off against a Russian bad guy.
That is exactly what I said, because there's that montage of him like rigging up the machine shop where he works, and I told my wife, I was like, this is like Kevin McAllister grew up, and he's got a lot more toys to play with now. You know, he's not a kid anymore, but it was like he's like rigging up the house like in Home Alone. So I'm glad you noticed that as well.
No, yeah, that seems to be like a thing happening in action movies now. At least two. So far it's a coincidence. One more. Nah, it's a pattern. There's a pattern. Okay. I'm throwing it down as coincidence right now, but y'all got to stop that. But no, another good thing, like one of the things that I found funny in the movie was this kind of like, it was a small bit where Bob Hutch would try to exposit to a character only for them to die. In the middle of his exposition. I love that. I don't know why, but I love that, because it's just like it was a clever way to deliver exposition to us. And it's funny because he's trying to tell his soul. He's trying to unburden his soul, and they're halfway alive in the first time. The black Russian dude, I love that scene, by the way. It's like, I've never seen a black Russian before. He's like, I get that a lot. Like, I love just the small things about this film that I really like.
Yeah. And that since we're speaking about the Russians, I don't know the actor's name, but the guy that plays the lead, the villain in the film, I thought he was really good. Just as far as encompassing his role, and I liked that he also was not an untouchable. Maybe you could make the argument there at the end that he kind of, you know, he let the cannon fodder take all the the casualties and everything, and then he kind of walks in unfazed. But like, before we get to the showdown, you can see he's kind of like scratching his head. He's like, how's this guy messing with me? And like his intel, the girl that gets all the intel on Hutch.
Oh yeah, she
comes in, she's like, here's all this, I'm out of here. And it's like he keeps hitting these walls of like, okay, this is a pretty bad dude. Even with all my power and resources, this is going to be tough. And I like that you can kind of see that in his face, and as he's preparing for this showdown, and even when they meet, initially in the club after his karaoke performance, it's like he really wants to intimidate this guy, and it's not working.
He's ended up getting intimidated himself. Yeah,
it's frustrating because he knows at that point how serious Hutch is, and it's not just some guy. He's like, okay, this is gonna be bad. And I like the fact that his character wasn't, I guess his hubris didn't get the better of him. Maybe it did at the end, but the fact that he did not dismiss him as, just a bug that he could squish. It was like, this is going to take, because at one point he even radios in for all his best men. He doesn't say, get me a bunch of people. He's like, I need the best men we've got, because he knows he's got to use top shelf, all the resources he's got to have a chance. And I just thought that was good writing, because he wasn't so confident that he could just take this guy out.
Which, not to say about the movie, like the movie again, great, and even that, like you mentioned, is great. But that's one of my pet peeves, when it's like, yes, get me all of my best guys, and it's like, yeah, well, they're just gonna end up bullet fathered like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like it's the, and I think I keep mentioning this lately too. It's the ninja rule, man. Like, one ninja, great. Several ninjas, dead. Like that's Yeah. All right.
Well, I'm done talking to you now.
No, hush that noise. We still got more stuff to talk about, like the special. Speaking of the visit, somebody else shows up in this movie.
Oh yes,
somebody else. Look. All I'm saying is, when you see this man act, you gonna see some serious shit.
Yeah, nice.
Mr. Christopher Lloyd, who just again having time of his life. Like, I feel like he's just like, these people aren't acting; they're just having fun in a modern day cowboy movie. Like,
and that's not really a role that you would see him.
No,
like this kind of gun-toting. Like, I can't think of another Christopher Lloyd movie where he's this. I mean, he's played villains and things, but like, to be this character, especially at his age, it's kind of unexpected. And I remember thinking the first time you see him sitting in the chair, it's basically Hutch calls him and says, hey, they hit me at the house, so get ready. And the look on his face, I was like, oh, he's just as bad, if not badder, than Hutch. Like, I could just tell. I was like, he's ready for it. Like, he is going to, he's hoping somebody comes into that nursing home. And of course they did, and he disposes of them pretty quick and pretty slick. He even tricks the orderly into thinking that it's his TV that's making all that noise.
It's such a cool scene, like the way when he grabs the double barreled to stop it from fire. Like, that's something I've never seen in an action. Like, it might be stupid, but if it's clever, I love it. Like that, if it's something I haven't seen before, it's so great. No, that scene works 1,000%. So something about like the movie that you didn't know. Let's talk about this director real quick. And I'm gonna say his name wrong because it's mad Russian. But the director is Ilya Naishuller.
Sounds pretty good.
Right? It's probably pretty good. I probably still mad butchered it. Here's what I didn't know. I didn't know who directed this. Like, I only looked this up, for the sake of the podcast or whatever. This dude have you heard the movie Hardcore Henry?
Yeah, the first person movie.
He directed, produced, wrote, did the music for blah 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 that movie. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's like his other, like his feature debut. And then, fast forward, we got this. But he also did how he got Hardcore Henry was he got he's part of this band called the Biting Elbows, and they did a couple of first person music videos and like action films called it was like what was the other one? One of them was Bad Motherfucker, and the other one was The Stampede.
Yeah, I've actually seen some of those because not that long ago I had like a pop in my head of like, whatever happened to that first person movie that was coming out a few years ago? So I looked it up and I got into all that, and I watched some of those music videos.
Love them.
Because I was like, there's no way this first person movie could have worked. And I haven't seen it, but from the reviews I read, it really didn't.
Oh, no. Don't listen to those
like
reviews. It did. So, it was, that movie was great. That movie was great. Sharlto Copley's in it as like 700 different characters. Yes, it's awesome. It's a little wonky, but like it's the first time something like that's been done, right? So like it's gonna be
like Fast and Furious movies. So.
Okay. But out of all the crappy lowercase AR movies, those are some of the best. I stand by it. I stand by it. But no, so like finding that like he's the director of this, and like it's good to see that he's not like just sticking with it's all first person movies and whatnot, which because that was a good way to get yourself into the industry, to set yourself different from everybody else. Right. And now he's made this. I'm like, okay, this is a really good action film, like a really good one that I've seen in a while. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, and like I say, me not being really an action movie person, I really like this movie. From not just because, and I can't believe I forgot, but I guess it's a smaller part. I love Christopher Lloyd, so when I found out he was in it and Bob Odenkirk, I was like, well, this is I gotta see this movie. And enough time went past that I forgot about Christopher Lloyd being in it until I saw his name on screen. After we went ahead and rented it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's in this too. So. Not only did I like it because of them and their performances, but just, everything about it, like we've talked, like everything worked, and I really liked this movie. And my wife, who they say is not she's not a big fan of violence, and there was a lot of violence, a lot of very graphic scenes. She's like, yeah, it was a little much in some of that, but she's like, I still really like this movie. And I was like, okay, yeah, me too. It's like, I'm glad I didn't, scare you off with this. She's still gonna let me pick movies for date night. Okay.
You didn't mess it up. You didn't mess it up.
I didn't mess it up. No, now with Knock Knock, she about took my choice privileges away. But this one not so much. She liked it. We talked because we always kind of like you and I are now, maybe not as in depth, but once we watch a movie on date night, we have a back and forth and kind of discuss what we liked, what we didn't like. We don't give reviews or stars, but we kind of break it down before we go to bed. We're like, all right, what did you think? What'd you think? So she gave it thumbs up.
One, that's goals. You got goals, right? That's goals right there. That's okay. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Two, I'd probably be the weird person. So what would you rate it though, baby? What would you rate
it? No, I can't go to bed until you have to tell me how many stars.
I can't. Like, what you mean?
I can't go to bed. I'm not gonna sleep.
All right, last thing before we give our wrap ups, the writer, I guess this is just a way to like, hey, you like this? So the writer of this is Derek Kolstad. Is it Kolstad? Did I mess it up? Yeah, Kolstad. Excuse me, Derek Kolstad, who wrote and pretty much created the John Wick film series.
Okay.
So if you like this, if you like the writing in this, I'm just saying, next date night.
Everybody says the John Wick movies are so good. Again, I just haven't because I'm not really into action flicks, but I have to give it a shot. That it's, especially if it's, like I say, even not having seen them, I could see the influences in this film. So it's probably worth checking out. How many, are there 3 or 4?
3 right now with a 4th coming.
4th coming. Okay, I thought so. All right, so yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot, We sometimes run out of movies for date night, so maybe we'll watch John Wick.
Gotta pull one out of the bank. All right, y'all, look, I want you to understand, Ilya, you've done a good job here, right? After everything that we said here, you're a really good director. You have an eye for action films that I think, while not completely different from everybody else, has some new and like really good methods that keep the person interesting. You partnered with Derek Kolstad. That's honestly, that's a really good team right there. Great action, great cinematic design. I have to give this an A. This is an A. This is an A plus. This is an A action film. Let me not go too crazy. It's not A plus. It's A. It is an A action film. I'm gonna stick it right there. Ben, what do you give your grade, please?
You know, I really love listening to podcasts when the people just agree about everything, and they don't have any differing opinions. So I'm gonna say, yeah, you kind of nailed it. Especially now knowing, since I didn't do the research like you did, knowing that this guy's, what brought him to the dance was that first person action movie that I just, never really heard anything else about other than, hey, they're making a movie in first person perspective. And well, that's not going to work. Because I don't like first person games. I'm a third person perspective guy. So I'm like, well, I'm not seeing that. But hearing your opinion on it, how good it was, and then knowing that not only, it's not, he can break free of that mold of being that's the guy that did the first person thing. Now it would be, he's the guy that did Nobody.
Right.
So I think it was a good partnership, and like say just the performances, the writing, which normally in an action movie I guess you don't really need good writing. You focus on the action. I felt like the story was good. It was tight. The performances were good. The production was good. It was all good. So I'm gonna have to give it an A as well. I wouldn't give it an A plus.
Okay.
Just because, mainly based on my snootiness toward action films. But yeah, I would give it an A because, like I say, me not being an action person, my wife doesn't like the gore, and we both really liked it. To me, that just says that's a good movie. So yeah, I would definitely give it an A. I would have no issues defending that if somebody wants to fight me.
Okay. All right.
Verbally,
all right,
though,
Uwe Boll. I was about to say, all right, Uwe Boll. Calm down out here.
Physically, I can't. I will not be able to fight because I haven't watched enough action movies to know enough moves.
Right.
Verbally, I'm in.
So what we thought, people. Let's see what the people thought. With a budget of $16 million, this hit a box office of $56.7 million in the theaters. With a Rotten Tomato score of, here it is on the tomato meter, 84%, with an audience score of 94%.
Wow.
Right, and this is still like, this came out early 2021, I think around March. So we were still in like the sort of transition from people getting vaccinated, so people still aren't trusting theaters. I think with these numbers and these kind of scores, really good. People are really liking this movie. People are vibing with this movie.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, especially with to have, some people don't put a lot of faith in Rotten Tomatoes. I like, that you include both scores. Because, I mean, with that have a score from critics and with that have a score from audiences, I mean, like I say, it's just a good movie. So, and I think that those scores reflect that. That's how most people that have seen it feel about it.
Yeah. So, honestly, couldn't say it better myself. All right.
Thanks.
Ben, tell the people where they can find you on them interwebs.
Oh boy, I'm all over the place. We got the Ride That Donkey Productions. That's the .com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the socials. We also have a podcast. I don't know if I can talk about it on here.
What do you mean? Talk about it. Speak it up.
Well, people might like it better than your podcast.
Whatever, that's fine. If they find your podcast and like it better through my podcast, I feel like this is good. I'll just take a cut.
No, your podcast definitely gets more follows. We've been doing it. You've been doing it longer than we have, but our podcast is Group Chat After Dark. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. We do not talk about movies though, so.
Yeah, well, not everybody can talk about the cinematic arts.
Yeah, but yeah, that's where we are. Ride That Donkey Productions. It's got all our shorts, our short films, and everything, and we got web series and all that, and then the podcast. So we're kind of all over the place. You search that, you'll find me. There
it is. Also, if he didn't say so. Y'all got that? Did you say YouTube's? Did you mention the YouTube's? Because there's some clips and things. There's some stuff. If I may also contribute some I can't even think of the word now. But just if I can give some reviews of your stuff, very funny. Very funny,
okay. Good.
There might be a show, I believe it's long title. It's called The Show of Which I Am the Star. If you haven't seen that, back in its prime, boy. That's all I'm saying. Look, I ain't gonna spoil no more. I just want y'all to go find it organically. Hint, hint. You know.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Because funny is hard to do. So if somebody else thinks it's funny, then I at least did my job for one person.
All right, people. You heard the outro from Ben. You gonna hear the outro from me coming up. So I'm gonna prematurely say goodbye. And until next time, peace.
And you don't fucking do that. Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet!
You look like shit, Dad.
You should see the other guys.
Thank you for listening to another Movie Club podcast, Production 1200's premier podcast. If you have suggestions for movies you want us to see, leave them in the comments below. Check out the short films we have on the page and look forward to what we're making next. If you want more from us or other ways to reach us, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all Production 1200. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rate and review. Trust me, it's what your grandma would have wanted. And if you listen to us on other podcast platforms, do the same if you're able to do those things. It's Trady Price signing off. Hear you next time.